Hey everybody, it's me MB. Well, I'm working on way too many videos right now and I'm not actually getting any of them done, but I am making some cool progress with my upcoming Real Robot video, which is turning out to be a pretty big deal. I also might finally finish my long gestating review of Gundam Narrative that I've been actually working on for over a year. Anyway, so I've got news today. One of the main questions I get asked all the time is, MB, what the hell is going on with that stupid Netflix live-action Gundam movie? We haven't heard anything about that in 3 years. What the hell? And usually my answer is, well, I haven't heard anything either, so let me know if you ever hear anything. Well, today, someone finally gave me an update, so I guess I got something to say now. Quoting a bunch of randos on Twitter and the discussion out of there, a rumor out of Hollywood is that the final casting is currently taking place now, with plans to finally shoot the film next month in January. And a lot of you are probably like, hey, what the fuck? Why haven't they shot this film yet? But calm down, calm down. Now, playing devil's advocate for a second, from my point of view, and this is completely speculation and opinion on my point, so just warning you there, I'm willing to bet that as of right now, the live-action Gundam movie is probably about 60% finished. So, quick recap, the movie was originally announced in 2019, and at that time, all they showed was the director was a cool, nice guy, and that the CGI of the Gundam was like, there. Now, I have no proof, but I'm 99% sure the reason that this movie hasn't moved in a while is that the actor strike happened. The 2023 writers and actors strike officially started in May of this year, and the actors joined in July, but the thing of it is, anyone who wasn't completely oblivious to the atmosphere, who couldn't read the room, a real moron, everyone knew the writers and actors strike was absolutely inevitable with the way that things were in the Hollywood economy. With the current conditions, major Hollywood productions knew that they could only get away with filming for a couple of months because they would basically have to start once the strike really got going. So a lot of major studios really stopped opening doors and greenlighting shit around February of 2023. Because unless you were a super huge, super major film studio, starting a film that was going to get paused by a potentially endless strike could cost you millions of dollars. Now, on top of that, the writers reached a deal in September, and then they went back to work pretty much instantly. However, with the actors, that wasn't the case. The deal with the actors was only finalized in November, and even after it was finalized, the strike didn't actually end for the actors until last week on December 5th, where the post-strike agreement was finally accepted. So yes, I'm not surprised at all that a week after the strike was officially over, the actors have officially started working again. We finally hear that this movie is finally going forward. So that leads to the next obvious question, well, what the fuck have they been doing since 2019? And as far as I know, the main thing they've been doing is animation. Because even though this is a quote-unquote live-action Gundam movie, over 60% of this film is still going to be CGI animation of the mobile suits. That Transformers-level good shit animation. And I would reckon that they've probably been working on that for the past 3 years. And maybe they recently finished it based on the way it stands. Now, in Japan, they built a full-scale working Gundam and they turned it into a tourist trap, but Hollywood lately has been suffering and cutting a lot of corners, so I would be actually impressed if, for this movie, they actually build anything beyond the Gundam's hand at a full scale. And so, yeah, they probably just spent all this time up to now just doing the animations of, the Gundam and the Zaku's fighting, and now they finally have all that animation in the can, and so they're finally going to put the people in the seats to yell at each other as the Gundams are fighting. Now, that being said, there are a lot of early indicators that this film might actually be pretty good. 2019, I was kind of pessimistic about it, Hollywood had fucked up Death Note again. But now, Netflix, One Piece came out, that kind of did justice to the original property. Godzilla Minus One and The Boy and the Heron are chewing up gangbusters at the box office right now. And superhero fatigue has finally set in, destroying Hollywood. And so this Gundam movie now has a real chance to be something really special. Now, that being said, I am currently working under the assumption that this movie is just going to be a flat-out remake of the first original Gundam compilation movie, sometimes called Gundam Movie 1. Now, if you haven't checked out my How to Get Into Gundam video, I am personally not a fan of this one. I think it's the absolute weakest of the three Gundam compilation movies from the 70s, and quite frankly, you can get most of the story from watching the other two. So let's talk about this briefly because with this movie now becoming a thing, I know I'm never going to get a chance to make this movie, so at least someone else is. And I kind of am really hoping that this movie can kind of replace the original version because the original version is just kind of flawed. There's a bunch of big problems with the original Gundam movie, and that's just that it tries to awkwardly compress the first 14 episodes of the anime into a 3-hour chunk of binge. And I think that they omitted some episodes wrong, and there's some elements that are out of whack. Because while the other two Gundam movies have new additional animation to make story edits, this one doesn't. So they really didn't change any of the beats around. And so it drags a lot because a lot of this was meant to be like multiple episodes of the TV show, and a lot of the stuff they cut out was the robot fights. Like, I dig that they included the episode where Amuro is disowned by his hippie mom for being a killer, but I think the movie kind of mangled Garma's arc. Like, too much of Garma got cut out, especially episode 11, Iselina's Revenge, where Garma's innocent and untrained fiance just goes on a nuts killing spree to avenge his death, and that episode is completely nuts. Oh, and also the movie makes a huge mistake by just introducing and setting up Ramba Rao way too early, only for 90% of Ramba Rowley's story to then be the beginning of the next film. Anyway, a small, simple fix would just be try to make some adjustments to the flow of the story, take out a lot of the filler content, and somehow just make it all flow as a cohesive film. Like, I would entirely send Ramba Rao to the next movie and just leave a few hints that he's eventually coming there. You need to really focus on Garma and Char being the main villains of this first movie, and then hopefully at the end when Char betrays Garma, it's more of a shocking twist climax, potentially playing out the fact that it's completely unclear at this time in the story who Char actually works for and what his actual goal is. I will be majorly mad with this movie, though, if they fuck with the canon a little bit too much. Like, I can accept if they add some of the elements of the side stories. I'll be happy to see a ground GM, that's fine. They were in the Kukra Stones Island movie. I'm okay if they pull from Gundam the Origin because, like, that's really the only alternate source of material that is acceptable for them to pull from. If they use the Origin costumes, if they use the sexier Ramba Rao, whatever, that's not a big issue for me. However, if they throw in a bunch of, like, new shit or, like, some non-canonical shit or, like, too much shit from the side stories, like having the OFMS team just show up there for some reason. Nothing has been announced for the cast so far, but early speculation is that the internet really wants Nick Offerman to play Ramba Rao because mustache. And maybe Tom Holland as Amuro, but that's just lazy. People want Tom Holland as everything. I think One Piece made a really good move by picking mostly actors that no one had ever seen before, so they could, like, stand out as the new characters. As long as they don't just, like, throw Chris Pratt in as, like, some random nobody, I'll be pretty happy with whoever they pick. Shit like that will piss me off, and I think shit like that will turn off a lot of people. I mean, thankfully, One Piece did it pretty right. Like, anything new that they introduced was at least backed up by the side material, so hopefully if they do it like that, I'd be okay with it. Like, maybe give, like, Job John a larger role, or maybe they could, like, set up some of the side characters like Matilda earlier. Anyway, that's about it. If they do it right, the Untitled Gundam movie should hopefully be out by next summer or next winter or whenever they eventually finish it. What do you guys think about this? Untitled Netflix Gundam live action movie. Are you guys excited for this? I keep getting questions from you about it, so I know some of you are. Do you think it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to suck? Let me know, because I am hoping it's going to be good. Look, a bad Gundam movie really doesn't help anyone. Like, it took us 20 years to get over G-Savior, so this one's gotta be good. Come on, guys. We can't do G-Savior again. That was way too Canadian. All right, later. I'm out of here. Bye.